Greetings, welcome to another episode. This is day-oyabunmi. So, today's episode is for those of you devotees and initiates of Ifa-Orisa who may be feeling abandoned, who may be feeling like the Orisha and Ifa have abandoned you. Before we get started, if you're interested in an Ifa reading, a Orisha reading, a personal tarot reading, Ifa-Orisa related ebooks, online trainings, things like that, check out my website, daydreamaustin.com. Okay, so, this is my opinion. You don't have to take it as truth, and I know there are some people who will disagree with what I'm about to say, but I believe there are going to be times where initiates and devotees of Orisha and Ifa will feel abandoned. We'll feel like, we'll kind of look up at the heavens and be like, God damn it, where are you? I'm struggling. I've faced this devastation, this catastrophe, this crisis. I'm depressed. I'm lost. I'm this, I'm that. And you'll just feel like, where the hell are these deities that are supposed to support you and protect you and things like that? I had an experience where I felt like that, and I was just, I had multiple experiences during a period that made me really question my faith and my belief. It's just kind of like, hey, wait a minute. What I liked about Ifa-Orisa practice was that I had these tools I could use. I had my initiation, I had icons, I had readings, and a bow that could come in and kind of, what I thought could alter situations and make sure they worked out good for me. So when things, kind of fell apart, it was like, hello, what the hell is going on? Like, what is the point of all of this, right? So I just want to let you know, if you're feeling like you've been abandoned, that's normal. It's not abnormal. There's not something wrong with you in your practice. I think many devotees and initiates, not all, will have moments where they feel like that. And I've actually come across an Odu verse which talks about the fact that there will be times where the Orisha, the deities will not be able to accompany us on certain journeys, and we'll have to rely on our Ori, or our high consciousness, right? Our soul, to support us. And to be quite honest, we have so much power within our own being that it's okay when the Orisha don't show up, because we have what we need within us. We have that power, especially if we cultivate it, right, and work with it and build it up. We can rely on that. But let's look at Ogunda Meiji. That is the verse or the Odu where I found this verse about Ori. And if you begin to study Ogunda Meiji, you'll notice that Ogunda Meiji speaks a lot about Ori. And I find that really interesting. But this verse, right, we have Ifa and this figure, Alasan An. This is a very popular Odu about Ori. And Ifa is trying to find an Orisha who can accompany Alasan An into the deep of the high seas. So, this is a very long and arduous journey. This is a tough journey that Alasan An is going on. So Ifa begins to question, who's going to stand up and be able to go on this journey with him, or, with Alasan An. So Shango steps up and says, hey, I can do it. Oya steps up. Obatala steps up. Eshu steps up. Ogun steps up. Oshun steps up. Even Orunmila steps up, right? And they say, hey, I can do it. It's a very long verse. I can step up and, or I can accompany Alasan An on this journey. So then Ifa challenges each one of them and is like, okay, well, what if during the journey you come across your father's land and, they offer you your favorite foods and tell you to stay for a little bit, have your favorite foods, relax. Would you stay? And all of the Orisha questioned were like, actually, I would stay at my, my father's land and enjoy my favorite foods and and do this and that. And Ifa, after challenging, all of them, is like, well, you know what? Then you cannot accompany Alasan An, because, Alasan An needs a deity that's going to be with him all, every step of the way. No breaks, no, hey, I want to stay and eat my favorite food, and things like that. So after, the test, Ifa goes on to talk about the importance of one's Ori. Orunmila said that if a Babalawo dies, his Ikin Ifa will be taken and buried. If an Orisha priest dies, his Orisha paraphernalia will be taken and buried, right? He then asks, have you ever heard of a time when a person dies and his head, aka Ori, is cut off before he is buried? Ori is the only one that is capable of accompanying Alasan An into the deep of the high seas. The example I like to use is that when I leave my home, I actually am leaving my Oya paraphernalia behind, right? Oya, that's my head Orisha. I have her icon here. When I leave home without that icon, and that icon contains her, her implements, and contains Ashe, or her power, right? So when I leave, I'm leaving that behind. When I leave my home, though, my head is always with me. My Ori is always with me. I can't leave it behind. When you look into Ori or study Ori, it talks about the Ori being contained in your head, right? So here, Orunmila is basically saying, or Ifa is basically saying, like, hey, you can't leave your head. Your head is always going to be with you. And I feel like this verse is really pushing us to rely more on our own head, our own inner willpower, strength, our own personal deity, to really guide us, protect us, and support us, especially in those hard times. Ifa then goes on to say, if I am blessed with wealth and properties on earth, it is my Ori that is responsible for it. My Ori, it is you and no other person. Ori, it is you that supports one before any Orisha. There's no Orisha that can single-handedly support one without the knowledge and assistance of Ori. He whose ebo or sacrifice is accepted by Ori should rejoice. So again, we have Ifa just really playing up the importance of Ori. It is only Ori that can support us, that is responsible for the really good things that come into our lives. And it is Ori's support that is more important than the Orisha's support. So if you're in a period where you're feeling lost, right, and like you've been abandoned, know that based on the Odu, right, based on this verse, that's going to happen sometimes. You actually will be abandoned, so to speak, because the Orisha obviously may have other things that they're interested in doing. And in those moments, though, you're not alone. You have the strength and the power of your own Ori. If you want to learn more about Ori, I've actually created an Ori online training where I go through some simple tips on how to strengthen your connection with Ori. I teach songs, incantations, or chants that you can say to support your Ori, to build up, strengthen your Ori. And I just give some, in-depth information about the concept of Ori. Okay, I'll link that in the description box. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you next time. Ashe.